Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I will start today's mainstream media analysis with a article from Variety, dated February 27th, 2022, by Nathan Ramachandran, and it's titled "European Union to Ban Russia Today and Sputnik." It goes close airspace as President Putin threatens nuclear action, which is anyway, nobody threatened nuclear action, but nevertheless, this actor, author, just wants to make his style more sensational. So, European Union, I don't think European Union is an enemy of Russia. At least I didn't hear any declaration of war or anything like that. Maybe it's just supporting one side of the conflict, which is in this case Ukraine. So European Union bans two media outlets belonging to, I think, the Russian state, and not that it matters because BBC is a um, British government-owned media outlet, so it's on the same level as it is PBS in the United States, for instance. So if, let's say, European Union would be part of this conflict, I would definitely understand that you don't want the uh, adversary, the enemy, to use propaganda on your people. I mean, that's happening in a war. But European Union, is not at war with Russia, as far as I remember. So by doing this, they infringe free speech, unless you think you are the the owner, the master of the truth, and everybody else is just someone inferior to you, someone that automatically would lie. Or I'm not saying that Russia Today or Sputnik are, ideal and perfect. And no. They have their own agenda, like Deutsche Welle, France Press. There's all the newspapers have their own agenda, and they lie here and there. I don't think there's any, or BBC, or I don't think there's any media outlet who is perfect. Such thing doesn't exist. But to claim that you do this, and it's so what do you expect your citizens to use only one side of the story, basically, and you form their opinion only with what you say, with the whatever is accepted on your side. Then let's say you have a private outlet, media outlet in the European Union, which would have a different opinion than the accepted view on the war. What are you going to do, European Union? I know what you're going to do. You're going to ban it because it's the attitude. It's not necessarily that it's Russia, it's the attitude. It's the idea that they can ban it. Doesn't matter who that is. You can be banned at any time. So just think about this. I'm not, in this case, is just Russia Today and Sputnik. Tomorrow could be, I don't know, BBC, or could be, I don't know, PBS International, or could be, who the hell knows, Al Jazeera, or other, just because they can do that, obviously, if they don't like and they don't want their citizens to be informed and be a battle of ideas. They're afraid because ultimately, right, the truth will prevail. So they're afraid of these guys having more influence than they have over their citizens. Yeah, let's go to the next one. The next one is just in the same remaining in the same authoritarian regime of European Union and others. This article comes from Reuters and it's dated February 28, 2022, and it's titled Bulgarian Defense Minister to be sacked over Ukraine rhetoric. And what did this guy do? So, this guy said in Sofia, Bulgarian Prime Minister Kirill Perkov said on Monday he would sack Defense Minister Stefan Yanev after Yanev's reluctance to describe the Russian invasion of Ukraine as a war prompted calls for his removal. So because this official did not use the required terminology by his government and by the masters, he would be sacked. That means he's going to be fired, out of a job, because he did not get the memo of using the approved terminology to describe what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. It's like I have a job and I don't describe what happens in, I don't know, correctly. I use not the accepted word term for a certain thing. Not as politically incorrect or something. It would be corrected. You're sacked because you said something that some people disagreed with. Just think about it. If they could do this to this guy, who's the defense minister, they can do that to you. They can do that to me. So this pretense of free market, democracy, freedom, free speech, they're just for stupids, obviously. And now this article is coming from Business Insider by Sarah Al-Arshani, February 27, 2022. And it's titled, They Belong to Us. They are one of us, and we want them in. Close quote. European Commission President says EU wants Ukraine to join. Now, this President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was not elected by European Union citizens. Okay, she was elected, appointed, won among the European Union Parliament and the Commission. They voted based on interest and political affiliation. So this is an unelected official, unelected by the public, by the citizens. It's elected by the clique of politicians that they bring up, as I said before, they put in front of the so-called elections over there in their parliament, of whomever they want. They can put over there Adolf might win, and he could be the European Commission president, or Joseph Stalin. And citizens of the European Union did not vote for that guy, and he represents. So this cocky girl, she says, they belong to us. What do you mean they belong to us? So that's spheres of interest. That means this was all along over there. So does it mean the Russians knew what they had to do? Now these guys are just showing their true colors. They are one of us. I don't think so. I don't think so. You never think people are like you. You think you're here. And especially the nations from the Eastern Europe are like second class. That's always. I know how the French thought of Romanians and the Germans. We were gypsies, Auslanders, Zigeuners. Okay, so we were not equal, and we will never be equal until we impose ourselves as being real nations, and we demand respect by our actions. Otherwise, you will not be respected if you're the neighborhood's whore, and a cheap whore, by the way, not an expensive one, a cheap whore. That's you're not gonna matter. No, nobody's going to respect you if you're a yes man, yes, which Romanians are, and most of Eastern Europeans, maybe with the exception of Hungary. So this unelected official says that we want them in. We, who's we? You speak in the name of the European Union, an unelected official. Spokesperson, if you're a spokesperson, I agree with you. But if you are the president of the European Commission, you're a nobody. No, you are not elected. Who are you, as Farage would say? Who are you? I never heard of you. People did not vote for you. But anyway, nevertheless, it's so. This is rhetorics, right? Right here. They belong to us. Yeah, they belong to you, so they can give you cheap grain from Ukraine. Grain from Ukraine. That's all you need from Ukraine. That's all they kind of had, don't they? And you don't have it in Europe. So you see, you make the euro is like, remember when Adolf wanted, Lebensraum, so they can expand for the German nation, and they wanted Ukraine for grain, they wanted Romania for oil, they wanted the Caucasus for resources, oil, gases, and so on. They didn't want the people over there. The Nazis wanted the people over there just to be like semi, humans to work for them, and they can extract all these resources, bring them to the base, which was Germany, and they, because they were superior nation, people, they would strive, and the rest would work for them, and they would get resources. Sounds like me. This is kind of the same thing. Like you have two, three countries like France, which make actually the European Union's, politics, policies. It's France, it's Germany, the in danger. France, who always is mouthy, but really not important. And Italy, who's like a whore. Which one? I'm with who? Now you're the master. Okay, I'm gonna be with you tonight. Next night, oh, I'm gonna be with you tonight because you pay more tonight and you seem to be in charge. So these three countries, Great Britain is out with United States, and they pull strings as well because economically and military they can't compare. Not British. British again are just like, I think, like self-important whores. I think British is the same way they are, self-important. They lost their colonies after the First World War. They were done. And after the Second World War, they were done. So, but they still think they are something. They're not. They have what, 200 atomic bombs? Even Israel has more than them. Israel has more than Great Britain, but unreported. So anyway, you're one of us. No, your grains, your fields are ours, and our influences. Okay, next one. We got a problem here. The Insider by Grace Dean, February 28, 2022. And the title is German Stakeholder in Nord Stream 1 natural gas pipeline rejects call to shut it down in response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Well, if he does that, I don't know what's going to happen with the German people and these guys' stocks and all that. So he knows what he knows, and I think it's political. If they close that, I don't know what these guys are going to do. They're going to just screw their population, their citizens, really. Um, all right, next one. Reuters, Monday, February 28th, 2022. Serb nationalists in Montenegro rally in support of Russia. Telling you, people, things are going to explode in the Balkans. Um, there are problems over there in Kosovo, problem in Bosnia, now in Montenegro. Serbia is on Russia's side. I'm waiting. I'm waiting because I know uh, the Kosovarians, they want a American military base to be over there, not a temporary, but forever. So if they get attacked, the Americans might be hurt, and they hope that the Americans will come and help them. Well, I just stumbled over a picture depicting two people together, and that was the president of Ukraine and the prime minister of Ukraine. And you know what was strange? I looked at the prime ministers and I said, let me check on this guy. I didn't know his name, but just by looking at him, so I found out his name. So if the president is Zelensky, the prime minister is Denis Shmyhal. Shmyhal. So I said, okay, let's look deeper. So I realized that Shmyhal and Zelensky were born in Ukraine, but they are not of Ukraine genetic makeup, if you know what I mean. So I understand the United States, which is made out of many, but Ukraine is made of Ukrainians. You can't just get let's say, a guy from, how should I put it, from China, drop him in Ukraine, and then he's Ukrainian after 5 years after he gets his citizenship. Well, he might have the citizenship, but he's not Ukrainian. He's a Chinese. And his children, when they were born, genetically, they're Chinese. They're not Ukrainian. I'm sorry to state the obvious and the scientific reality. So Shmyhal and Zelensky, they are in charge of the dream team of the Ukrainian, the country of Ukrainians. Strange. Is that why they receive so much support from their friends in United States and Germany and everywhere else? Hmm? What's strange is that Israel refused to provide these guys with weaponry. That's strange. They're like neutral, as far as we know. All right, let's go to this is a great news here, piece of news. It comes from Defense News, February 28th, 2022, by Yaroslav Adamovsky. Adamovsky. Very, very, very nice. And it says EU decries potential Russian nuclear weapons deployment after Belarus referendum. So you see, these guys in the European Union, they try to impose sanctions and they ban Russian media. They block banks from doing business with Russian banks, and they freeze accounts in Switzerland and other places. They want to be the initiators because they have nothing to do with the conflict over there. It's between these countries, and these guys just tacitly they're actually involved in the war or whatever it's intervention, invasion, however you want to call it. I don't want to lose my job because I use the wrong term. So please let me know which is the approved term I'm supposed to use for that, so I don't, nobody knocks at my door and gets me to Guantanamo. So when the Russians strike back, they're all crying and call like, "Oh, you can't do that because we're the good guys. You're not supposed to do that." The same thing with the rapid force of NATO that was deployed first, and then these guys, yeah, we're gonna be on standby with our nuclear force. Oh no, you can't do that. That's outrageous. Not the same here. These guys do all this against the Russians, and the Russians say, okay, you know what? We're gonna do this to you. So why they did. So this is it. It's the European Union has voiced its worries over Sunday's Belarusian referendum. Referendum, legal, democratic, right? Oh, but it's not a democracy because we know so. Get out of here. Referendum which enables the authorities, mean the elected officials, there to modify the constitution's article describing Belarus as a nuclear-free zone and a neutral state, potentially allowing Russia to deploy additional nuclear weapons along NATO eastern flank. Well, if you brought your shit to Romania, Poland, and all that, what do you want to do? I'm going to bring my shit. Oh, no, you can't do that. And you know what the Russians will do? They will put probably the same thing in Kaliningrad. And then again, they're going to be like, oh my God, you can't do that. Only we can do that because you're supposed to be weak and we'll try to cut your throat. So this is like children, children mentality. It's really, infantile, infantile behavior. Oh well, unbelievable. You can't, I can do this, but you can't do this. Um, so this is all I had for now regarding the, where I thought there were some nice, interesting pieces of news. And as I said, I can't comment regarding the war or whatever happens over there in Ukraine, because when I'm checking for news, it's impossible for me to how should I put it, accept that. For instance, I'm watching. Let's say I go on YouTube and I watch on YouTube, and 99% of the videos over there are depicting how one Russian or three Russians, another Russian military, soldiers, they were captured. I don't see any Ukrainian captured by the Russians, which just by probabilities should be. But because they don't make it to YouTube, that tells me that something is blocked there. Unless so these guys are we are allowed to know as much as they allow us to know. And if I can't, I'm not allowed to have access to other sides of the story. I'm allowed to watch and hear mostly one side of the story. And I don't believe that side of the story. Not that I believe the other one or the other ones, but at least let me figure out, and analyze and verify by having a free, free market of opinions and knowledge and information. But because they limit, like the communists did in Romania prior to 1989, there was only one TV station for three hours a day, and they didn't have anything else. So this is basically what happens right now. The things that surround me, or the easily accessible news outlets, are the ones that are on one side. And from previous experience, they're not telling the truth. They lied too many times. They lost credibility. Not that the other ones are not the same, but why don't you let? I mean, the fact that you bar me to access those raises a lot of questions. And you are not the entity who is known as honest news and objective news and so on. And I read a lot of articles regarding how the Russian offensive stalled and so on. But how many days they had? Just a simple analysis. Because I hear one time, oh, the Russians are losing, and then, oh, the Ukrainians are losing. So from the same sources. One time I hear how great the Ukrainians are doing, and then I hear the next time, oh, Kiev is going to be bombed and raised by the Russians. Now, which one is it? Um, it's just that I'm not allowed to uh, to view both sides, or as many sides as possible. And this is obvious. That's why I try not to. I'm waiting. And regarding the this incident in Ukraine, it's been what, 5 days since the invasion started, or 6 days? And I say, oh, the Russians stalled. I hear U.S. generals saying, yes, they stalled. It's not doesn't go the way they wanted. Okay, maybe, but this is what's the population of Ukraine? Okay, compare the population of Ukraine, the, let's say, 150, or how many hundreds of thousands, 150,000 Russians, against how many 60, 70,000, 70,000 um, Ukrainians, which are in the east, as far as I know that, or at least they reported that. Okay, let's go back to what, the invasion of Iraq. How much America? How much was the NATO coalition? 500,000 people. How much was that for? Something like that. 3 million, 300 or 400 or 500,000 people. And Iraq, the whole population was 20 million. 20 million, and the other ones were. So I don't know how much Iraq had a military, and how long did it take over the desert, no towns and nothing. It took them 3 weeks to get to Baghdad of this fantastic force. 3 weeks to get there. So give them some time. I don't know what's happening, but I don't know. I'm waiting. And remember, the Russians, the Russians have their policy that if their motherland is threatened, the survival of the motherland is threatened, they reserve their rights. That's in their military strategy to use atomic bombs. So yeah, you push these guys to the extreme, and they will, per their military dogma strategy, they will use atomic bombs. That's in their strategy. So yeah, Ursula and Macron and Johnson and uh, Alzheimer Biden and all these guys, maybe you win. But if you start training those guys, they will blow the shit up. They will blow everything up. And what are you gonna do? Blow them up too? I say we say bye bye then. So it's not going in the right direction. Then, as I said, Zelensky's negotiators and the Russian negotiators, they didn't come up with. They came back with empty hands after their meeting in Belarus. It was expected. Expected. Remember Poland negotiating in bad faith with their sponsors behind, Great Britain and France, against the Germans. The same here. These guys, Ukraine, I think they're just buying time with their master behind to do stuff, and they will say no, 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 but let's stop a little bit, let's negotiate, and in the meantime, those guys bring whatever they do behind the. That's what happens. Well, that's all for today, or for now at least. Stay strong, smart, look for the truth if they allow us, and be just. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.